Hello, everybody. My name is Luke Davis. I'm the Assistant Director of Freshman Recruitment here at Seattle Pacific University. Very excited to be with you today. We know it's a lot different than the past couple of Washington Council workshops. So just want to say thank you for joining us through this virtual model. Thank you for all you're doing for your students to help them feel supported. We know this fall is looking very different than a lot of us thought it would. So continue to know that we want to support you all and the work that you're doing to support your students. And just thank you for the resource that you're being for them to help support them in their college journey. As we get started today, just a couple updates for you from Seattle Pacific University. If you're not as familiar with us, there's some stats for you there. Myself going on 4 years in admissions, I'm very excited to bring you some of the different things, especially with Seattle Pacific. We continue to see just a few updates on our majors. Our top programs continue to be business, nursing, computer science, engineering, pre-med, psychology are all up there, along with some more unique programs like music therapy, costume design, but one of the coolest things about them is that almost all of them are open admission. So it's a lot easier to get into. Students don't have to worry about applying to a lot of them. Once they're on campus, they can, as long as they have Weather 2.0, they can just know that they have that admission into that major. And we're continuing to use stuff like Pathway U, our mentor program, internships, to really focus on what students are going to be doing after their classes and majors, not just focusing on that period of time, the SPU, but thinking about how we can help support them for the next phase of their career in college. Past that, especially since we know so many students now may not know exactly what they want to major in. We end up using that as a lot of the curriculum in our actual classes there too. These are just a few of the ways we're supporting students, one for fall, and as we continue to work through this, making sure students feel safe and supported on campus or online, wherever they're coming from, tuning into class from is a priority for us. But we're continuing to transition some of our other traditional support resources to a virtual model too. You'll note that Seattle Pacific Access to College Experience, our space event, one of our favorite events of the year, is transitioning to a virtual model. So we're still hoping to have a lot of these similar things in the fall that we would, as far as webinars, things to help support you, things to have you to tell students, hey, go watch this. Hoping to still have a lot of those this year. They might just look a little bit different than our traditional in-person model. Lastly, on the bottom right, you'll see just a couple of statistics about what our last year's class was like. But as we're continuing to support students, we know that there's a couple different ways we can do that. One is through the application process. And for y'all to know, one of our biggest updates is our test optional policy. So we are now essentially just asking for a common application or SPU specific app. We don't have a preference which app they choose. It's whichever easiest to them. Ask for those transcripts, but everything else is optional for that SAT scores, letters of recommendation, interview. So we're very excited to add this. One question I know I've already gotten quite a bunch is, should I apply as test optional? What's the difference? You might get this as well. So these are a couple of things I normally touch on with my students is look at that middle 50% of class grades. Again, that's the middle 50, right? So 25% of our students are above or below that. But that kind of gives them an idea of if their test scores would be competitive, whether or not to submit them then. But we also kind of have some other additional pieces we'll ask for students to consider applying with. So that's letters of recommendation, interviews, things like that can help us get to know those students a little bit better. But we are still excited that for both of our our full tuition scholarship competition and our nursing and business direct admit, so some of the most prized things for students are going to have test optional pathways too. We're still finalizing some of the details on that, but we'll still have those test optional pathways. Besides that, our timeline looks very similar to what it's been. November 1st is our early action deadline. No early decision, just early action, non-binding, and we're hoping to still get those acceptance letters and financial aid packets out by January 1st. We want to make sure students know what financial aid offer they're getting and if they're accepted as soon as possible. So we're hoping to stick to that before our January 15th deadline for our regular decision. Next, as we're talking about supporting students, we recognize that this year has been a very wild year for students to not only have the college process, but potentially for their financial situation. So our Student Financial Services Office has been ringing off the hook these past couple weeks, supporting our students for this fall. And for next fall, we're excited to bring back a couple of these large scholarships. So one would be the Faith for the Future Scholarship if students are coming from a Catholic or Protestant high school or have faith involvement in those Christian faith-based activities. Could be eligible for 50% off tuition. Likewise, we're doing something called an in-state matching award. So for a variety of states, if students are eligible there, they can receive tuition and fees equal to their state's public university. So last year, Washington State, that minimum award guarantee was about $35,000. Note their updated merit scholarships are coming next week. So we're very excited to share with you next week some other updates for how we're supporting students financially. So keep an eyes peeled for our email announcement for that. And we're continuing to offer our Falcon Bound commitment. Again, our partnership with College Bound students. If you know of students that are College Bound that meet the criteria below, including just a 3.0 GPA, they could be eligible for full tuition with some other variety of things there that you see there. So we're very excited to continue doing this. It's been a couple years that we've done this Falcon Bound College Bound partnership. So continue to let students know that they're college bound, that we are offering that full tuition scholarship. Besides that, like all of us, we've transitioned to the becoming YouTubers and webinar and Zoom meeting masters. So we're doing a bunch of different ways to hopefully meet students and give them a sense of what SPU is like. We love meeting with students over video or phone, or even just texting with them and trying to give them advice on the application process. We're doing a couple different live webinar workshops that you see there, as well as interactive campus tours, interviews with students and faculty, hopefully a bunch of different ways that you can show students, hey, this is the kind of the hub to get to know a bit more about what SPU is like. Lastly, though, again, with a smaller staff like this, we really want to be present for your students. If you at all have any students that are interested, have them connect with their admissions counselor for their area. Our admissions counselors right now are setting up visits. You may have been contacted by them. If not, expect an email. And some of you are already using rep visits, which is amazing. Can't plug in rep visits enough. We're trying to transition to those virtual visit models, so excited to see you. We're also going to be recording some pre-recorded high school visits from our counselors to help give you a little bit more time of trying to fit those videos into your busy schedules for your students. But besides that, again, if any students are interested, have them connect with us. We'd love to talk to them. And again, help support you as you support them too. Thank you for watching today. I hope the next couple of weeks go well for you. We're very excited as we partner together to figure out this wild year. Thank you for all the work you're doing to support students, and don't hesitate to reach out. With that, we'll hope to see you somewhere in the Zoom webinar features in the next couple of weeks. But otherwise, hope all is well with you. Bye-bye.